Well, the teams are set to come out here at Columbus Crew Stadium, and the gem on the fairgrounds here in the capital city of Ohio, once again doing nothing to discount its status as a fantastic home for United States soccer. The women's national team, their penultimate match of 2013, a fantastic crowd on hand as they take on the Football Ferns of New Zealand. As this centennial year in U.S. soccer is coming to a close, the United States women, 12 victories and 2 ties, a 37-match unbeaten streak, 75 matches unbeaten at home. New Zealand's had a fantastic year as well. They've won the Valet Cup, their first major piece of hardware, beating Brazil and China along the way. They met just 4 days ago at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, a 4-1 U.S. victory. We'll join the Crew Stadium public address for the lineups and the national anthems.
Here are tonight's starting lineups. First for New Zealand, team captain number 5, Abby Erceg. In goal, number 21, Erin Naylor. Number 2, Rhea Percival. Number 4, Katie Hoyle. Number 7, Allie Riley. Number 9, Amber Hearn. Number 10, Sarah Gregorius. Number 11, Kirsty Yallop. Number 15, Rebecca Stott. Number 16, Annaline Longo. Number 17, Hannah Wilkinson. The head coach is Tony Reddings. And now, tonight's starting lineup for the United States of America. The head coach is Mr. Tom Sermani. Team captain, number 3, Christy Rampone. In goal, number 1, Hope Solo. Number 2, Sydney LaRue. Number 4, Becky Sauerbrunn. Number 7, Yael Averbush. Number 8, Christy Buis. Number 9, Heather O'Reilly. Number 11, Allie Krieger. Number 12, Lauren Holiday. Number 15, Megan Rapino. And number 20, Abby Wamba. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your hat for the playing of the national anthem of New Zealand, followed by the national anthem of the United States of America.
rousing edition of the Star Spangled Banner, preceded by God Defend New Zealand. As we are ready for this international friendly, the United States and the football Ferns. Indian summer-like weather on this penultimate day in October. 62 degrees on the Ohio State Fairgrounds with winds out of the southeast at 6 miles an hour. Some of the big storylines for the United States as they will wind down this two-match set with the Tasman Sea Nation before taking on Brazil in the Citrus Bowl next month. Tom Sermanni, who has certainly a wealth of depth and has used it in a 4-4-2 for much of the run throughout 2013, a 4-3-3 formation for the first time tonight. More on that lineup in a minute, but a big staple in the back line as well, returning and the second most capped player in U.S. history, and that's Christie Rampone, only trailing Christine Lilly. She had minor knee surgery after her last start, which was in early September, a 7-0 throttling of the Mexicans, which has put United States on a pace of scoring over 4 goals in their last 5 matches. You see Christie Rampone, the captain, wearing the armband tonight. The Jersey Shore native with the Caribbean quad as our officiating crew here tonight. Abby Erceg is the New Zealand captain. She has really taken a nice place in the central defending role since the retirement of Rebecca Smith from international soccer. So this group with Hope Solo in between the framework, a 4-3-3 featuring Christy Mewis, Christie Rampone, Becky Sauerbrunn, the NWSL Defender of the Year. She's had a fine 2013 internationally. Allie Krieger round out the back 4. Yael Averbush out of North Carolina. She will work as essentially the holding role in that three-pronged midfield, making her first start since the match against the Netherlands on April the 9th. Rapinoe and Holiday have been in good form as of late. They round out the midfield. Sydney Leroux, Abby Wambach, and Heather O'Reilly, who tonight continues her consecutive string of starts, her 9th. As the United States in their Centennial uniforms, there's the All Blacks, or what is traditionally known as the All Whites on the men's side, and the Ferns have an imposing presence. That was Hannah Wilkinson. She scored the goal on Sunday. You see Becky Sauerbrunn, Defender of the Year, FC Kansas City. They're represented by 5 players on this U.S. side. Megan Rapinoe scoring off a free kick. Our referee Sabina Charles Curtin from St. Lucia, who works in sales, sets us underway as a crowd of over 15,000 here at Crew Stadium. So watch the United States hope to continue their dominance in the Midwest. They are 4-1 all time at Crew Stadium. And they have that 37-match unbeaten streak. Wilkinson with the early through ball. She scored off a deflection, off a solo stop in the second half. That was the best part of the match for New Zealand in the Bay Area. Tony Reddings, he has seen this side grow literally from their time where the core of this team. 8 girls featuring on that 2006 U20 World Cup edition. And now making up most of the senior team. Only 3 players over the age of 25, but the pressure from the United States, as that led them to 2 quick goals within the first quarter hour in San Francisco. 4-1, then 4-0 prior to that against the Matildas of Australia. Tom Sermanni's former employer, Solo. Stretching that out of the back, but the sturdy Katie Hoyle has the early touch. There's Rampone. The captain clears it away. Briefly into the attacking half as Wambach took a tumble. Haverbush with LaRue. Worked good in both ends, but so good on the ball and delivers this cross for Wambach. Searching in the area, but headed out at the last second by Ursig. Rapinoe will settle it down. 286th cap for Christie Rampone. 17 years playing with the national team. It's brief relief. Back to Solo. It's the game not 3 minutes old. O'Reilly. Her pace down the sideline will earn this throw. On the inside battle, Naylor, who started the last 6 for the Ferns, will come up to make that grab. Holiday was giving chase. A collision off that clearance, and a U.S. player down. Rebecca Stott, who was a youth international in Australia, has the touch, and play is halted. Well, they check on Allie Krieger. The Virginia native. Seems to be all right. Tereso in Sweden, where her club finished as runners-up to Malmo and the Damallsvenskan. Malmo's Allie Riley, the left back for New Zealand. A standout career at Stanford. She's won pretty much everywhere she's been. Had a chance. Considered playing for the United States, but her dad would have none of it. New Zealand gives away another throw. Early stages. Sauerbruch. Solo. That exceptional footwork. Trying to pick out O'Reilly. But it's Stott in the end. Finding the Tennessee Volunteer, Wilkinson. She's in her junior year. And it's allowed for Percival to get forward. Gregorius, who started on the left, has swapped over to the right in this 4-4-2 for Tony Reddings, mentioning he was with the U20s in 2006 as an assistant. 3 years as the assistant, then 3 years as their head coach before finally taking over last season for the 19th ranked club in the world. Gregorius. A little 1-2 and a good ball laid into the channel by Percival. But the cross, anything but solid, and gives way to the goal kick here in the 6th minute. Hope Solo, her 5th consecutive start. She split time for Cole Barnhart on Sunday. Sauerbrunn will strike this back. Naylor on the club-winning champions of the North Regional Women's Premier League in New Zealand, Eastern Suburbs. She spent a couple of years at Indiana Purdue Fort Wayne, was a Mastodon, the New Zealand keeper. Just 21 years of age. Krieger recovering from that early spill. In the 7th minute, there's a collision with Ursig and Wambach, and she took a shot to the back of the neck. All-time leading scorer. 43 goals in her last 50 matches. O'Reilly had a nice turn, but lost it as she came toward the byline. That's an intriguing matchup with Allie Riley. There's the aforementioned O'Reilly. 192nd cap tonight for the 28-year-old. Haverbush. Stott, the game of head tennis. Rapinoe trying to catch Naylor off the line. Had a fantastic free kick for the first goal 4 days ago, and that would have been something special. Off the outsole. Flag up at the other end. Antoinette Williams and Wendy Fisher, Jamaica and the Cayman Islands respectively, and William Anderson is the fourth official to round out the crew. All things considered, a better start for the Ferns. Tony Reddings would have expected that based on the fact that they got their feet wet a few days ago. Rampone, LaRue. Sermani feeling that LaRue has been one of the players that has impressed him the most. Holiday's in that mix. Some of the young players, too, who had to go back to college, but featured in the Australia game, have all made impressions. Ball in the box on the cross. Penalty. Caught up on the hand of Rhea Percival on the bounce. Unlucky for New Zealand, but the U.S. will go to the spot. There you can see off the deflection, there it is. A classic case of hand playing ball, ball playing hands. But Sabina Charles Curtin, our referee, awards it. And Wambach looking for goal number 163. Saved brilliantly by Naylor. And what an early uplifting moment for the Ferns. As Wambach denied, and the game remaining scoreless here in the 10th. Rapinoe wiggling out of traffic, eerily silent from those here at Crew Stadium and the American Outlaws. Respecting that effort, but a fantastic job by Naylor. That third goal she gave up to Kristen Press over the weekend, rather soft. She would have liked to have had that back, but the 5'10" Waikato native showed quality there. Sauerbrunn. Krieger is trying to pick out O'Reilly. Holiday had tucked in. Good play by Rampone. The through ball. O'Reilly going to get onto it. Tried to nutmeg Ursig, who was stretched there. It was a wonderful pass by Rapinoe. 4 goals and 3 assists in this calendar year. So the United States looking for an early goal for the 3rd consecutive match. This time denied by the fantastic stop of Erin Naylor. Lewis starts this sequence. LaRue converging in on Percival. Headed away, it will go out for a New Zealand goal kick. This is only the 8th cap for Erin Naylor. She has 3 shutouts, 2-time U20 World Cup member. Since that 2006 run, New Zealand has failed to get out of the group stage. At the outset mentioning, they won the Valet Cup, they beat Brazil, and they beat China 4-0. So far they have not been able to get Amber Hearn involved, their elusive goal scorer. She's essentially playing as a false nine as Wilkinson delivered that into Solo. All-time leading goal scorer with 35. A chance of USA as Wilkinson will not reach that pass, and Christy Mewis, three-time All-American at Boston College, the third pick in the NWSL draft. And to play negative to release some of the pressure. There's Katie Hoyle. Really the engine in that midfield for the Kiwis. One and two touches from Holiday and O'Reilly. LaRue lays this down on the crossfield run. Rapinoe turned it back inside. It's played away by Stott. Haverbush went down and wanted a call. The United States will keep in the attacking half. Rampone showing her ability to get forward. Stott once again off the delivery from that near channel. Rapinoe just north of the Sacramento area. Also having a good run over in Sweden. Teasing ball for Wambach. She is out of range, and Naylor again will gobble it up. She has so far been the difference in keeping this scoreless through the first quarter hour here at Crew Stadium. United States now 10-1 all-time against New Zealand. Lost their inaugural match. That was way back in 1987. Long and over the top, Gregorius. Search this out. Hearn is calling for it. Never quite got there. Rampone works it back, but it's Hoyle. This time she will look for Hearn, but Mewis has good positioning. Solo sends everyone the other way. New Zealand actually began international competition officially in 1975. The U.S. didn't have their first international match till August of '85. Stott. Still tough sledding, trying to find their leading scorer in Hearn. Very deep there. As the United States backline has crept up. Mewis earning her 9th cap tonight. Last starting in the Mexico match early September. There's Hearn. Sent it through. Gregorius called for the offside again. Sarah Gregorius from Lower Hutt in the capital city. And you get a look at Wilkinson. '48th cap for the Tennessee Junior tonight. Krieger. Riley read that well for New Zealand. Will remain with the U.S. for a throw. Rampone showing those leadership qualities, and the captain picks out Holiday. Cheeky chip for LaRue, but too much. Sidney Leroux. Tom Sermanni, early in his tenure as this season began, was so surprised that Leroux, despite the cap she had earned, was making her first start. That was back against Scotland in February. First cap came in January of 2011 against Sweden. Annalie Longo trying to send that across. It returns to Percival. This is Stott. The U17s and the U20s with Australia before cutting across the Tasman Sea. And she has citizenship playing in the top league in New Zealand. Now playing, though, in Germany. Hoyle is fouled by Averbuch. Was not called up, did not appear in any matches in 2012. Just 3 in 2011 for Yael. Started 105 games consecutively at North Carolina. The top 8 award recipient. You're in the 19th, awaiting the game's first goal. Naylor stopped Wambach on the penalty. Wilkinson gets to the byline, turned it back toward the spot. That cleared away there, but a good little run, and Solo has to come up and scratch it away from Longo's cross. On the long throw out, a good toss for Megan Rapinoe. Full throttle ahead. Holiday reads it well. With Leroux. Strike force tonight. Alex Morgan is on the bench, but she's been dealing with an ankle injury she suffered late in the Australia match. Still day-to-day, but I would guess she'll probably stay away. Nearly an own goal here. Stott trying to position herself on that ball played by Wambach. Heads it just past the near post, leading to the game's first corner kick here on the 20th. Rapinoe to do the honors. Naylor flying through the air to paw that away, but parries it to the corresponding byline. So the United States will have their second corner to the end known as the Nordecke here at Crew Stadium. The American Outlaws, strong from the Columbus chapter, filling in that area. Leroux found her way to it, but ran out of room. So New Zealand withstanding the set pieces. Hoyle, also a member of Eastern Suburbs, North Regional Women's Premier League winning side. The captain Ursig funnels it to the near side. Here's Stott with Hearn getting a touch to it. Solo coming out of goal as Gregorius was making the run from the opposite wing. Well, Riley and Krieger were trying to connect there, but they quickly send it away for Riley to throw back in for New Zealand. Christy Yallop Piteå, the Damosvenskan, her club team in Sweden. She, along with many from the Auckland area, New Zealand's largest city on the North Island. The ball is out. Allie Riley to throw in. Dispossession by Averbuch. Trying to poach that for O'Reilly. Now Allie Riley for New Zealand. Hoyle. Kirstie Yallop holding the jersey of Holiday, who takes exception. And a yellow card to the U.S. midfielder in the 23rd minute. Well, the newly nuptialized playmaker has some Philadelphia integrity. Jrue Holiday traded to the New Orleans Pelicans as the NBA season gets underway, but she wasn't going to take kindly to that. And off the free kick, a darting run by LaRue after it took a couple of deflections, and will go out for a goal kick in the end. So the yellow card to Holiday in the 23rd. Naylor, the big PK stop on Wambach in the 10th. Rapinoe. Traffic jam with Percival. She came toward midfield. Ferns to throw in. Hearn searching that out. Averbuch, O'Reilly. Now Sauerbrunn. Closing in on 50 caps is Becky Sauerbrunn, 28. On that soccer hotbed of St. Louis. Sends it across here to Mewis. Zagging it back the other way. Yallop cut it down. Ersic forward and a good play for Gregorius. But nice hustle by Krieger to recapture. Solo is a perfect 5-0 in 2013 as she'll play towards midfield here. And the 85th cap for Percival as she'll play out in front of her coach and teammates. Good arc on that ball from Averbuch. Krieger, O'Reilly. With Riley down there, but can't prevent a corner. The third for the United States in the first half. Well, they have been dictating the play, but New Zealand has aligned a little bit better to begin here tonight, as opposed to 4 days ago. Strong ball into the area, off the deflection. LaRue took contact as Naylor and a host of ladies in black got a piece of that ball on the initial whip in. Wambach off the crossbar. What a ball in from Mewis. And the United States now relentless, and LaRue with the foul. And she hacks down Percival. Denied once on the penalty, and here contorting herself in midair to be denied by the frame. "43 goals in her last 50 matches. Twice just missing out here through the first 27 minutes. Rapinoe's pass broken up. Wilkinson gonna try and chase this down. Too much on it. Mewis to play it back into Rampone. Women's national team is 5-1 all time in the Buckeye State. 4-1 here. They played the Columbus suburb of Westerville the first time they ever had an international friendly around the capital city. Ursig distributes out to Yallop, and now Riley. The U.S. playing very high up the field. This pressure forces the turnover. Rapinoe. Yael Averbush, Holiday, O'Reilly. Spacing wasn't the best there. Krieger will throw back in. Krieger. That pass beats two. Holiday's turn, decent, but the pass was not. Wilkinson. Tenacity of Rapinoe, nearly forcing that steal, but still keeping it in the attacking third. Here is Megan Rapinoe. Abby Wambach. Her iconic status. Turns it back in field. Rampone put that a little out of the range of Sauerbrunn. And in an effort to keep it with O'Reilly, Riley has the touch back to her keeper, Naylor. Good find here, Yallop. And then Hoyle. But Krieger is stride for stride with Gregorius. On the half hour at Crew Stadium. A scoreless affair. Last loss for the United States. I'll go back to the Algarve Cup. Last March of 2012 to Japan. That thrilling affair from the 2011 World Cup. This is a good ball, and it finds Hearn in the box and across. But lagging behind was Gregorius. Maybe just a half step of patience from Hearn. There she is. All-time leading scorer in New Zealand history. 35 goals. Five better than Wendy Sharp. Solo will take this back for the Americans. A lot of running for Gregorius. This opening stanza, the air game of Solo, so pristine, and on this long punt, Ursig will head away in the United States, which has owned much of the ball in this first half, but still looking to be rewarded for it. They've come close twice. Talking about those games with Japan. It was the last time the United States women's team was here in their build-up toward the World Cup. That's ripped wide by Rapinoe. A goal kick for Naylor. That was May of 2011, a 2-0 victory. Rapinoe. Olympique Lyonnais, the women featuring in the Women's Champions League final a couple of seasons ago. Joined up with the Seattle Reign, the inaugural year of the NWSL. It was won by the Portland Thorns. Yallop after Hoyle, good link play there, and Wilkinson is off and away. She's behind Rampone to the byline. Solo, though, will cut it down as Gregorius was the late runner once more. Those vital components in central midfield, Hoyle and Yallop, Waikato and Auckland respectively. Good link play to send away Wilkinson, the 21-year-old. The Ferns have snuck in a moment here and there, but Solo's been ready every time. Mewis. About 40 minutes south of Boston is where she hails from. Excited for the opportunity tonight, but for her Sox as well, trying to close out the World Series. Well, the engine of O'Reilly keeps on motoring. Clanks that off of Percival to force a corner kick. Fourth for the United States here in the first half. Rapinoe, Wambach hit the framework again. Looked to be on the outside edge this time. But the positioning exceptional, the delivery fantastic. Just to the outside of the goal, off that stanchion in the back. Erin Naylor, New Zealand keeper, with Rapinoe the first touch off the 50-50. Mewis. Percival. Kirsty Yallop. Percival. Looking for Wilkinson. Here's Hearn. Inside of that one run into the penalty area. She's had a rather pedestrian first half. That's a credit to the United States defense. Rampone. Mewis. Rapinoe getting ambitious for that O'Reilly run. But Yallop a solid job to put it to the back line of the United States. Inside of 10 minutes to play in this first half. And Hoyle is fouled for New Zealand. Four goals Sunday. 10 days ago it was a 4-0 win over Australia, 7-0 over Mexico, 5-0 over the Korea Republic, and then 5 days prior to that. That was in June. You have to go back to the match against Canada where they scored fewer than 4 goals. They're in a stalemate right now in the 37th. But crescendoing forward once more. LaRue, Rapinoe, and look at this ball. Just wide. Mewis spending much of her time as a winger at Boston College, but shows she has that great left foot. She looked for her second international goal and just missed out. Off the deflection, Holiday. Rampone. Captain Ursig steps in front of Abby Wambach there. She tries to nestle it aside for Hearn. Around Longo. LaRue giving Percival fits. Lays it down on the tracks. But Stott has been solid in this opening 45 minutes. Hearn off the second touch from Rampone and then makes a good cut. Looking to spray it across for Allie Riley. And the left back all the way forward, but a good angle taken by Krieger. Turns it out under duress. Wilkinson, Hoyle, and around to Hearn, who came from an offside position. Solo tries route one, but Ursig earned tons of praise from Tony Reddings for stepping into that role and taking on the leadership responsibility left vacant by Rebecca Smith, retired at the end of 2012. She is. This is her 89th cap tonight. Two-time World Cup and Olympic participant. Much of her career in New Zealand, although Adelaide United in Australia has been the home the last 2 years. Steal out of the midfield and Rampino running rampant. And this is deflected by Naylor on the last gasp effort by O'Reilly. An awkward save as her legs cut out to the left, but parried it aside for the corner kick. The U.S. has had abundance of these as we hit 5 minutes remaining in this first half. Holiday. It's a good ball in there. Hoyle got a piece. Mewis flapjacks that forward. As Wambach tried the bike attempt and then slithered across through the face by Holiday. Just out of the range of Averbush, who was forward. So the United States has been on the front door. New Zealand clinging to zeros. Naylor with the big stop of the 10th minute as help give that energy to her club. Riley's not going to be able to chase this down. Krieger, the U.S. member on the Washington club in the NWSL at the moment. Looks it across to Rapinoe, who scorches one out and for a goal kick. Very active first half for Megan Rapinoe. Another player that Tom Sermanni, I knew she was good. She's had big moments, of course, but seeing her on an everyday basis or when the national team gathers, just exceptional. Her, Holiday, LaRue praising their technical sides of the game. Averbush. Sauerbrunn Mewis passes that and splits the defense with LaRue. A fantastic turn in traffic. Got a goal. Sydney LaRue turns the screws, and the United States finally has the breakthrough in the 43rd minute. It starts with a simple little pass by Mewis, but a turn you can't teach right here on Stott. And the 23-year-old and Boston Breaker scores her 22nd international goal and 8th this season, her first since the quad against Mexico on September 3rd. So a 1-0 lead in the 43rd minute. LaRue from Mewis, and the United States not done. Holiday, O'Reilly, kept it alive. No, she did not. The flag was up across the way for offside. "12 goals in 2012, the last calendar year for Sydney LaRue, and adds her 8th here tonight in 2013. That broken up well. Heavy collision, LaRue across with Percival. Final minute in this first half. That will run out of play. Averbush. One minute of first half stoppage time here at Crew Stadium. The United States a 1-0 lead on the goal just a few moments ago by Sydney LaRue. Looking for a second, and she's in the area. Well, the referee says get up. LaRue says no matter. I'll find it again. And she's going to whistle play before that second put in. Now there's the contact. She must have called the foul on LaRue. She had to. As Sydney kept on playing. Giving the free kick to Erin Naylor of New Zealand. Rampone will wind down this first half clock. Rapinoe. The last through ball that's broken up by the New Zealand back line. The football Ferns hanging tough, hanging on for a lot of that first half. Some moments where they tried to break behind and give themselves a lead, but the United States staying with it. And Sydney LaRue with her 8th goal of 2013. Well, a nice pass by Mewis toward the end of the first half gives the women's national team a 1-0 lead here at the half over New Zealand. In the state of Illinois, where they went to school, and from there she moved to New Zealand. Was more of a basketball star in her college days, first at SUI Edwardsville, then at Lewis with the Explorers, and has found her way into 77 caps now with the national team. She suffered the head injury. You'll get a look at the protective gear she wears. That was in the quarterfinal of the Olympics where these two met. The U.S. victorious on their road to gold in London. LaRue off the throw. This 4-3-3 employed for the first time by Tom Sermanni tonight. Well, the shot selection has left a little to be desired at times, as Wilkinson making the run off the Gregorius pass here. The United States has had the better of the play, but New Zealand will take this scoreline considering the poor start they had in San Francisco. So you have Krieger, Sauerbrunn, Bueller, and Mewis back there for the U.S. Haverbush, Holiday, Rapinoe in the center of the park. LaRue, Wambach, O'Reilly. 4-4-2 of New Zealand. You could argue when they have had the ball, Hearn's positioning kind of sitting underneath Wilkinson and Gregorius, but not essentially having the hold-up play. But the U.S. pressure has created opportunities like this. Giveaways before midfield. O'Reilly trying to pick out Wambach, but headed out by Yallop. A 5th corner kick for the United States 4 minutes into the second half. There's Bindon. 40 years young. 8th year of international competition for the Ferns. Rapinoe. Crafty right foot. Right there in the heart of the 6-yard box. Wilkinson, though, had to play safety as Hearn had the initial touch with her forehead. So to the other side it goes for Lauren Holiday. Holiday has 6 assists in 2013. Here it's Percival away for New Zealand. Yallop. It clearly looked like she touched that with her paw, but yet it goes against her on Mewis. Now Yallop wants the restart and gave a little bit of a shove in the process. Such a skirmish in the first half gave Holiday a yellow card. Yallop survives there and got away with the contact, but apparently the foul called beforehand. Bindon. With the U.S. restoring possession at midfield. Krieger raidering down the sideline. On in with Ursig away. And a crowd. Holiday. Riley and Yallop over there. The claim was that it was going back to the Ferns. It stays with the U.S. Krieger into the middle. And in the end, it's Hoyle with her 79th cap tonight for the 25-year-old. The United States back on the attack as they reinstall with Mewis down the wing. Rapinoe out of range for Abby Wambach. There's Mewis, 2nd assist of her international season. It's just her 9th cap. Just in college. men and women's programs have turned out some fine national team prospects. Bedoya and Davies come to mind on the men's side. Mewis now for the women. O'Reilly took a bounce over the chalk before she could cut it down. Early stages, second half. The late first half goal by LaRue. Fine engine of O'Reilly. Created a lot of havoc in the opening stanza. Here's that high pressure system. And it forces the giveaway. Wambach slides it across. LaRue didn't see the defense coming from behind. Percival broke it up nicely, or else it could have been a brace. She thought she already had to. That was right towards the end of the first half, but I called the foul. O'Reilly. Wambach. Bindon got up to make the grab. Well, their hold-up play, some of the finest in the world. Their aerial game right on par. Already a crossbar tonight. Supporting stanchion. And that one lobbed off the forehead to the upper 90, but Bindon is there. A light mist has begun falling. Rain was expected to settle in at some time today. It's held off. Maybe get a grasp of it from the illumination of the toothbrush lights. 1999, the opening of this facility, and it's been a great host to the Stars and Stripes. That ball was smashed off Mewis by Hearn, and this is solo spectacular on Wilkinson. But Mewis was hit from point-blank range in a sequence that freed up Wilkinson to look for her second in as many games as against the Americans. So New Zealand earns their first corner of the match. This is the aftermath after Mewis took that initial crack. It's played short. Annalie Longo with solo commanding well, but another corner is coming. Longo's 55th cap tonight for the 7-year international, the 22-year-old out of Auckland. Percival is from Essex in England. Plays with Jena in the Frauen Bundesliga, along with a couple other teammates on this New Zealand side. She'll take it. Solo, 2 fists away. Yalom took a crack well wide as Stott had a little instep touch in field to keep it there. Here's Kirsty Yalom. Solo has been solid when called upon tonight. A year and a half removed now from the shoulder surgery that kept her out for several months. Here's Wilkinson's pressure. The resident guitar player for the Kiwis, forcing Bueller to give that up. Throw in the attacking third for the Ferns. Hearn. It has not been easy. And that battle fell down. Here's Riley with LaRue. Using that muscle to win it. Rapinoe trying to take it back from Allie Riley. Haverbush made contact with Gregorius. This play roams along. Here's Rapinoe. Holiday didn't see Wilkinson step in there. Hoyle. Longo. Riley. Continuing to ply her trade in Sweden. Standout at Stanford. Winner of the last WPS title in 2011 with the Western New York Flash, which has reemerged in the NWSL. Good build up here. Wilkinson. The run down the wing by Percival. Carried it on back and curried it in with the header by Sauerbrunn going out. So New Zealand, this was around the time on Sunday where they had their best attacking play. It led to the goal by Wilkinson, and they have earned 3 corner kicks now through the first quarter hour of the second half. LaRue's goal late in the first, the difference. Ninth match of the year for Percival. New Zealand has won 5 of those. Here, right at Solo. In full control. Each team has made a substitution so far. Keeper swap for New Zealand. I was asking Tony Reddings if Jenny Bindon had plans to fade into the sunset after this calendar year. He said no, she wants to keep going. She and her defense will have to worry about a U.S. corner here. There's LaRue. Golden Boot and NWSL MVP Holiday. On the south end march, approaching the hour mark. Wambach had Stott get in front of her there to head, but only on the carom de LaRue. Rapinoe along the floor. Percival got sloppy. Now Mewis, who's recovered from that point blank attempt by Hearn about 5 minutes ago. Tries to swing it across for the run of Krieger, but Wilkinson up to the task. Squared for Hearn, trying to get her engine going. Relinquishing to Rebecca Stott. Allie Riley. A little miscommunique, but Longo then furthers the difficulty by sending it on through and out. Brazil, the only team remaining on the calendar for the U.S. That is the 10th of November at the Citrus Bowl. Orlando soon to be home to a new MLS side. Of course, Orlando City's been a standout in USL Pro. They're working out the details, but the stadium has been approved. Second substitution for the Kiwis. And Enele Longo has run out of steam. And so they have gone to the bench. Betsy Hassett, who started, it was the lone change really in the beginning. From Sunday's game to tonight, Hassett had started that one. She's on here as a sub. Tidarengi Auckland, where she grew up. As we're into the 61st, mazy little run by Mewis, trying to pick out Wambach. So the 55th cap now for Betsy Hassett, as New Zealand has made 2 changes now. Also giving the ball right back, Averbuch. Had a nice game. Found Rapinoe. It will return to her via Holiday. Now Rapinoe slipped. Reynes made things a little more treacherous, but this surface, one of the best in pro soccer. The grounds crew here is outstanding. New Zealand will throw, but O'Reilly takes it right away. Infield, the Holiday, Yallop to her numerical counterpart in Krieger. Center blacks with a couple of exchanges. Sauerbrunn and Bueller came on at the half for Rampone. Gregorius, Hearn, very deep right now. Here's Yallop, very ambitious and wide. Well, you have to go back to 2003. This time the United States women were beaten on home soil. It was against Denmark in Philadelphia. Coming forward down the far wing here, O'Reilly, LaRue. Nothing came of it in the end. Calm presence of Sauerbrunn. Guides it along to Bueller. Here's Mewis. Ekes forward a bit. Rapinoe. Wambach battling Stott. Came on back, and Averbuch hit it off the half volley. Bindon, a goal kick for New Zealand. A lot of the talk was about these matches, the cluster with Australia included on the journey beginning to head toward the World Cup in Canada in 2015. More on that in a second as Wilkinson made a good run, but the pass left back, little to be desired by Gregorius. Credit there by Bueller to help create the congestion. Riley tumbled over the tackle of Wambach. She is slow to get up. Cross pass on the Western New York front. Abby's club team is Rapinoe. Fancy footwork, but a pass stolen by Kirstie Yallop. Riley, who recovers from that spill, has the pace and speed, trying to get around Sauerbrunn. All the way to that byline, behind Wilkinson, who couldn't quite connect. But it's Hassett trying to turn something into the mix there, but it's right at Solo. After that game against Brazil, it's still to be determined in late November next year, as this is LaRue scaling one to Bindon. The qualifying campaign will officially be called. In the past, it's been the Women's Gold Cup. Of course, many of you recall the United States in 2010 finished third. Had to go into the UEFA playoff with Italy. And left everyone with some magical moments on their way to that breaking final loss on penalties to Japan. 25 minutes remaining. And this is the second match in 4 days with the Ferns of New Zealand. LaRue's goal in the 43rd from Mewis, the difference right now. Just to show the depth of this side, if anything's in jeopardy, it's a consecutive output of 4 goals over their last 5 games. The United States for 2013 is averaging just under 4. Scored 52 times now, haven't even allowed double figures. Solo, this pressure intriguing by New Zealand. Gregorius, Hearn, trying to find her way more towards the attacking end. Squared across by Hassett. Roams free toward the U.S. sideline. There's the effort by LaRue. Stott with Wambach stalking her, able to work it back to the 40-year-old Jenny Bindon. Here's Stott. Intriguing for Gregorius, but Solo knew she had to get out there and does toward the top of the penalty area. Sends it away above the technical area. Helen Collins will be the third New Zealand substitution. A lot of running for Sarah Gregorius. Native of Lower Hutt and Wellington, the capital, but of Haitian descent. Gives way to Collins. This just her 10th cap in her rookie year with the national team. She too plays in the top level of soccer in her home country. Trying to join the mix here. She's out wide on the near side left is Wilkinson. Shades back centrally. And Percival getting into the mix, into the attack. And Hearn spread out wide, and in the end, nothing comes of it. Solid play in the United States. Streamlines into the attack. Now we'll settle it down. Sauerbrunn. Bueller. That Portland Thorns championship side. 15,139 here at Crew Stadium. And O'Reilly, who keeps on going and going and going, earns the foul deep in the channel. Some of those American Outlaws. Here's the foul. Percival. And O'Reilly. 9th straight start. And Rapinoe to take the free kick. Just over 20 minutes remaining. Rapinoe. And that is awry. Not her best, and she knows it. Of course, it wasn't long ago that Columbus was on the map with the men, and the 4th time in the final round of World Cup qualifying, defeating Mexico by the 2-0 scoreline. Gail Averbuch, a solid night, and Carly Lloyd is on here. She scored in her last 2. And the 2nd goal on Sunday. And a fantastic volley against Australia 10 days ago. Here off the spill, it's LaRue! Oh my, close. Just wide of that upper 90. And the creativeness of O'Reilly coming through in traffic. Carly Lloyd, she's now with 46 goals. This is her 161st cap. Moving up the annals in the top 10. She's tied Julie Foudy for 9th on the all-time list. That goal last time out. Working in central midfield with Rapinoe and Holiday. Well, it was an interesting storyline coming back here to Columbus. She trains in the offseason. Has trained actually for several years with the Crew rookie forward, Ryan Finley. And here, the speed of Lloyd, with those fresh legs, as she dispossessed Katie Hoyle. keep it alive on that attacking end, but then lost it to a quick turnabout. Mewis was shoved. So from about 30 yards away, here in the 72nd minute, a yellow card out to Percival. Meanwhile, there's a Fern down on the field. There you can see it's Hoyle for New Zealand. There you can see her go down. That was away from the actual foul. That was the previous play in the sequence that involved Carly Lloyd. Training staff is out. 79th cap tonight for Hoyle. She's from Waikato. Just 25. She's played on 3 championship teams in New Zealand. Most recently with Eastern Suburbs. Her 11th appearance in 2013 as she'll walk it off. Holiday will contemplate this free kick. Here it comes. Right at Yala. New Zealand staying in this one. The United States clinging to a 1-goal ledge. The foul here on Percival, trying to get out on the break. She was recently carded. Now appearing that they're going to call for assistance for her. They're pointing to the shoulder. Holiday fouled her from behind. There you can see the fall. That left arm not able to brace itself. So another stoppage here in the 74th minute. LaRue from Mewis in the 43rd. United States 10 shots, 5 on goal. Conversely, New Zealand 3 and 1. So Percival was mentioning earlier, the core of this team, 8 individuals on that U20 World Cup club in 2006 that played in Russia. Not necessarily the success that they lacked having, but the continuity they started to build has helped them improve as a soccer nation. 19th in the world. United States winning the U20 World Cup in 2008 and the most recent in 2012. 15 minutes left. Percival is back as New Zealand, for the time being, playing with 10. They've made their subs. Bueller played that behind Mewis. Made the repairs on their right back, Percival. Still being held up before she can come back on. This ball over the top finds O'Reilly. It's behind Wambach. Ali Riley away for New Zealand. Finding it tough to muddle through anything beyond that penalty arc when they try and break the pressure. Hassett. Hearn. Kind of stubbed that, but Wilkinson works hard. Not going to get around Bueller there. Percival has returned. Holiday had a fantastic season, both internationally and on the club side. Here is Percival with LaRue, knowing exactly that angle she was going to take, but in the end, the deflection goes for a New Zealand goal kick. Going to get a United States sub here, and the injury hardship, I think they will allow another to come on for New Zealand as Percival took that knock a few minutes ago to the shoulder. Kristen Press has been nothing short of outstanding in her first international season. Herman Trophy winner at Stanford. Comes on for Sydney Leroux. Rousing applause after her goal, the only one of the night so far. Has stood up. That was in the 43rd minute. Press now tied with Leroux on goals with 8. She scored in her last 2 games. The leading scorer in Sweden during her club campaign with Tereso. Her 12th cap for the 24-year-old. So Yallop will come off here, Kirstie Yallop, replaced by Rosie White. 20-year-old White, her junior year at UCLA, where she scored 9 times and assisted on 7 goals through 3 seasons. This is her 50th cap. So White is on here. So New Zealand has made the 3 field player subs plus their keeper. And just over 10 minutes remaining. Press the latest on for Leroux. Press, Wambach, and O'Reilly sit atop this 4-3-3, which is at its moments. I'm sure Tom Sermanni is going to want some fine tuning as well. The beauty of having the depth the United States has. And being able to experiment, if you will, with formations and the bodies they have at each position. Here is Bindon going all out on Rapinoe's effort from 30 yards away, and it's wide. Despite 10 minutes remaining, just a 1-0 deficit. It's hard to envision New Zealand finding something in the attacking sense. It's been a lot of yeoman's-like work from Wilkinson and her running, but Hearn essentially has been a shadow for much of the night. Like Sunday, the opening 15 minutes when they were able to earn a few corners, that was essentially New Zealand's best attacking sequence. We'll have our woman of the match to conclude before things are all said and done from Crew Stadium tonight. 1-0 United States lead in the 81st. Percival. Collins came over. She's a taller presence. But the U.S. midfield has essentially bossed this game. Made it hard for those forwards to come to life. Wambach could not corral it cleanly. Must feel like she hasn't scored in ages. 10 days ago. Of course, 2 matches ago, but when you scored 43 and 50, close in the air twice. But Naylor made the stop in the 10th on the PK. Fans are in good form, despite what you may think of the Wave. They're illuminating here on the Ohio State Fairgrounds. It's the United States trying to see this through. They need to do a 2 home-legged sweep over the Ferns. But Riley comes out and off the wing makes a good cut. And here is Hearn being tricky for the first time in about an hour or so. She had that 1 run in the first half. Here she's been pushed to the periphery after gaining it back. Hoyle wants some support. Leaks it on down. Hearn, Wilkinson, and that's a fine job of defending to block that aside. And here is New Zealand earning the corner kick. Sauerbrunn has earned the praise all season, mainly why she racked up the Defender of the Year. The NWSL got over there and timed it perfectly. But a corner here. 4th for New Zealand with 6 minutes left. Left foot, Percival. Sailing it in, Rapinoe. Skirting it away. O'Reilly. Pressure there, Stott blocked it away. Krieger. Kristen Press. Good work out of the jam. Lloyd extending on to Rapinoe. Mewis is tucked inside. Rapinoe peels it on back. Lloyd surveys. Holiday guides it negatively. Bueller. Press, a heavy first touch. In the battle with Hassett. Out of the lunging prowess of Wambach on that ball put into the area. Bindon, whose time is of the issue. And New Zealand had trouble breaking through the pressure. That won't help. On the poor touch by Hassett. And Rapinoe slips it through to O'Reilly, but there's Ursig with her sturdy presence. Pressure eventually ends up in a goal kick. Look at that clipped little instep ball. Further on from Wambach. Krieger awaits that goal kick. Wambach in the air. That mist has dissipated. Wambach can't keep it in the attacking end. It's Rosie White looks for Hearn. Riley. White. Hassett. Couldn't keep it up top, and hard to do so against Sauerbrunn. And that leads to this outlet to Mewis. Williams' effort keeps it along the line. Off that far wing. Turned it in for Wambach. Turned it right down, and here's Stott. Look at this run getting forward. Wilkinson is onside. Wilkinson has tied it. The Ferns in the 87th have leveled things at 1 to a stunned Crew Stadium. What a run by the center back Stott. Wilkinson on this night has run from here to Cleveland with the miles she's logged, and that pays dividends here in the 87th minute. 1-1. She has scored for the second straight game against the United States. It's her 5th of 2013. Just 2 ties in 2013 for the United States. This with Wambach getting nudged from behind. Calls for the penalty with Press finding the free ball deep in the area, guiding it wide. Wambach can't believe it. Let's take another look. Well, Percival was lunging that arm out there, but not enough in it to draw the call. The handball led to the opening opportunity at the spot in the 10th minute. Rocky Top blaring loud as the volunteer Wilkinson tying the game in the 87th. The U.S. now on the attacking offensive. Wambach had that sting off her ankle and it went conveniently to Press, but shot it high toward the South Pavilion stands. New Zealand just been pesky enough. Tony Reddings was really complimenting Rebecca Stott, former Australian Youth International, for her play as of late, and that run that led on the pass to Wilkinson was the Cats meow. Wambach took contact here, free kick in the 90th minute. Mentioning those, the United States ties go back to April in Germany, 3-3, and then against Sweden at the Algarve tournament. That finished 1-1. Battle for it here in the box! And it's Hearn. Despite the frustration in the attack tonight, was there with the big clearance defensively before it got to Bindon. Final minute and then second half stoppage time. 37 matches unbeaten for the United States. We will have 3 minutes of second half stoppage time. Down the corridor it goes, Solo. And the urgency ratchets up a notch. Mewis assisted on the U.S. goal in the 43rd, but here's Wilkinson on a dead sprint. A 35-yard run, and then ran out of steam toward the byline. With Bueller getting back to clear it away, it will be a New Zealand throw. Percival. Taking her time. New Zealand essentially been a banner year for them with their noted wins against Brazil and China. This would be another fantastic result. That crossed nowhere near where they wanted it to be. Solo. New Zealand ready to make one more change. It's the freshman at LSU, Megan Lee, is moments away from what could be her first cap. We're halfway through second half stoppage time. Goal scorer Wilkinson. A mighty fine 2-game series. Trickles it, pass it, grapples along there, and in the end the foul is called. Holiday. Working hard. A quick restart. Rapinoe off the second touch, but it's behind Heather O'Reilly. Lee, I mentioned all the running Wilkinson has done. She's going to be rewarded with a breather. I'm sure she'd love to stay on, maybe search for a improbable winner maybe. But it will be Megan Lee making her New Zealand debut. 2 U17 World Cups over the last 3 years. She is on here for Hannah Wilkinson. She will strum up a song about her last 2 performances against the United States, scoring both goals in this one. A stingy affair. Some choppy play at times. And New Zealand in position to get a result. 1-1, they're pouring forward. Riley looking to suck in the defense, does so, finds White. White right at Solo. Final moment, Solo, Stott. Chop that down with the forehead. Rapinoe cries for handball. Instead, it's Hassett, runs into traffic. And the foul called in the end. Moments from the final whistle at Crew Stadium. The United States won't even get one last crack. And the Football Ferns of New Zealand close out their calendar year with a result to remember as they come on U.S. home soil and tie the #1 team in the world. 1-1 the final from Crew Stadium here tonight. They hung around just long enough for their moment. And then it was Stott springing Wilkinson in the 87th minute to tie the game at 1. LaRue with a fine turn and goal in the 43rd minute on the pass from Mewis. But the United States, while the unbeaten streak moves to 38, it is the national team's first tie since April the 5th, preceded only by Germany and then against former coach Pia Sundhage in Portugal back in March. That finished 1-1. The Germany game finished 3-3. What a fine turnaround 4 days later for New Zealand. After surrendering 4 in San Francisco, they come to Columbus and earn a split on the night. 1-1 the final score. The woman of the match coming up momentarily. We'll send it down field side to Erin Heifetz, press officer for the women's national team. The somewhat stunned looks on the faces of the Americans. There were more than enough chances to put the game away. Wambach personally had 3 or 4 of them. The early penalty, which was saved by Naylor, a crossbar. LaRue missed out on 2 goals on a couple of occasions. She will be the one that will have the post-game reaction. The United States is now 12-0-3 in 2013. New Zealand is 5-3-3 as their calendar year comes to an end. The U.S. with that game in November against Brazil. So somewhat of a stunned crowd at Crew Stadium, a great turnout of over 15,000. But in the end, New Zealand hangs around and earns a 1-1 draw. Fans file out.
Fans,
we're going to
please
send it
turn
field
to
side.
midfield. Here to speak with tonight's Budweiser Woman of the Match, Sydney Leroux, is your host, Aaron Heifetz.
Hello, Columbus. First of all, I want to thank you so much for coming out on a midweek with such a great crowd. Thank you very much. Sydney Leroux, tonight's goal scorer. Gritty match against the Kiwis, as always. What do you think about another great crowd here in Columbus for the U.S. Women's National Team?
Yeah, we were so excited. We want to thank you guys for coming out. It was an amazing crowd, and we love Columbus.
It's about a year from the World Cup qualifying. What can the fans of the United States expect to see from this team over the next year?
For us to continue to get better, to continue to score goals and, keep going hard.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sydney Leroux and the U.S. Women's National Team.
And so the focus, of course, will be on Canada in the coming months and the build-up to the World Cup in 2015 as Leroux,
Fans, please turn to
with
the
this
video
fine
board
goal
for
in the
highlight from
43rd
tonight's game.
minute, gave the United States the lead at the half. And there were intermittent opportunities in the second half, but Wilkinson here finally created enough space to get the shot away and beat Hope Solo.
That
Came up on some big stops throughout the match. 1-1 the final, so New Zealand a feather in their cap, literally, to conclude 2013. The United States will wrap up on NBC on Sunday, November 10th at the Florida Citrus Bowl against Brazil. 1-1 the final here tonight from Crew Stadium. Leroux in the 43rd, Wilkinson in the 87th. The final here tonight. Special thanks to Scott Myers and Andy Sefcik from U.S. Soccer on the technical side, mastering our stream tonight on ussoccer.com. Another thanks to Sinway Mendoza and Aaron Heifetz. I'm Neil Sika. The final score, the United States won, New Zealand won. From Crew Stadium